Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. On this episode, Stephan, Tyler, and I are inspired by the Snyder cut of Justice League. So in that, we decided to go ahead and research some DC games that came out and see which ones are collectible or which ones are interesting. These aren't necessarily the most rare or anything, but they're ones that we wanted to talk about that we went out and found. And we did have some surprises in our research, but you guys let us know what you think. Also, if you like the show and you like what we do here, please go ahead and go to iTunes and give us a review. 5 stars if you would, that would be great. And now, if you guys don't know already, and I don't want to take too long on this, we do have a Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/collectorsquest. You can join for as little as $2 and no more than $6. And that gives you access to our Discord, which I think is the best feature, but also some bonus audio that we put out, every couple of weeks or so. If you want to do that, hang out with some amazing people, join us there. All right. Thanks so much. Now on to the show.
Back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny and Stephan. What is going on, guys?
Hey.
Hi.
It's 3 in the morning.
We definitely have not been here all freaking night.
Doing mostly nothing. I mean, I was complaining about my Soda Stream earlier. Do you guys have a Soda Stream? Is it just me? I love my Soda Stream, but I never seem to be able to figure out, like, I can only ever put not enough carbonation in the water or so much that it explodes over my kitchen. And that's what happened tonight when I went to get coffee and then found out I had no coffee. So I was like, okay, what do I have? I can make some carbonated water. And I did that, and I put too much carbonation in, and it exploded all over my kitchen. So right now my kitchen is a giant wet mess. That's all I got to say about that.
I believe I have discussed on this podcast that SodaStream is garbage, even though all I drink is seltzer. 25 cents for a can of seltzer that is perfectly carbonated and easy to grab and go. Worth the investment every time.
Where are you finding 25-cent cans of seltzer?
Like a 12-pack of seltzer at the supermarket is $3.
Well, he also gets the AARP discount.
That's true.
Yeah, I get that store brand seltzer, and it's still better than
so
SodaStream.
Oh my God.
CO2 cartridge.
Does your AAA discount stack with your AARP discount?
These jokes have already been made, Johnny.
and they're still funny. No, I'm glad the SodaStream topic had more legs than I thought it would.
Oh man,
yeah.
Johnny, do you have any strong opinions on SodaStreams?
I had one for about 2 months, and like you, I could never get my soda carbonated, so I figured, what the hell was the point? I was like, this just tastes, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like I'm drinking Diet Right, and I'm not interested in that. So
that's what I like about it, is that it's the cleanest, like, because like soda water, like out of the can, I always find has some sort of aftertaste. This is the only way that I can really feel like I'm getting a clean product.
Yeah, I'm curious though. Isn't there something fancier than a SodaStream you should own?
I don't know. Probably. I can probably
like shouldn't Fat Cat Stephan not be like being laid low by a SodaStream?
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a hand delivered like service where I can have like impoverished children make the water for me.
I was just thinking more of like some steampunk contraption that you paid an artisan for.
Oh, probably. Yeah. No. Wait a minute. No, Tyler is the one that pays for artisan garbage.
Got my artisan hand crank coffee grinder, guys.
Yeah.
Serial number 63.
I did recently buy some D20 that were made out of dinosaur fossils. So
yeah, I saw that. That was so dumb. Yeah. So dumb.
That's pretty dumb.
I'm pretty excited about that.
How many hundreds of dollars were your dice total?
It was like $400 for like.
Yeah, see, that's my point. It was like multiple hundreds of dollars.
Hey, Johnny, how come you're the only one on this show who hasn't spent hundreds of dollars on individual dice? There was a time. So I talked about the last episode when I had a pause in collecting video games. So as I was collecting pinball machines, you can't buy a pinball machine every day. What I was doing was collecting metal dice. I would wake up, I would go to Etsy, and I'd be like, who's making dice today?
What is wrong with you? I have a couple of metal dice, but they weren't $100. And I have a couple of like custom dice with like Halloween emblems on it for some of my Halloween games. Also, I bet I own more dice than all of you. I bet I own more dice than you combined.
All right, let's. I mean, probably because my dice are all metal, and you can only have so many metal dice. I probably have like 1,000. So
you have 1,000 metal dice.
1,000 metal dice.
I have a lot of dice.
Do you have a concept? Do you have
1,000 metal ones?
1,000 metal ones? I'm calling.
Dice are pretty small, and I've got an entire cabinet full of them. So
okay, no, but 1,000 though.
1,000. I'm
have you heard
impressed.
of iron die?
Or you know what? We'll wait. You go and count your die.
I have at least 200 in iron die alone, which is a collectible metal dice game. So it's not like they're not like each individual like handcrafted things. Like you buy like a set of dice, and it's like 7 dice. Then I have a load of them because I collected metal dice. I'm gonna go count my dice after this. It's gonna be like 450, and you guys are gonna call me an idiot.
And you have a whole you used to have a whole kitchen full of board games.
I still do. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I still have more dice than you. Because, and here's why. Because a dumb thing happened. Okay. So, a game store was going out of business in the mall back circa 2002, 2003. And we just went, and all of the dice were for sale, and they didn't know what to do with them, and they couldn't move all of them. So we just bought out large buckets of dice. Buckets. So I have a giant bag, like basically a small duffel bag full of dice.
Are they D6? Or are you just like various stuff?
D20, D4, D6.
That's like
D8,
enough dice.
Yeah.
Like dice jail doesn't exist for you. Like when a dice doesn't perform, you just actually throw it away.
Exactly.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I've had some I hate this dice. Toss. Like you'll
into
never
the
come
garbage.
back in. Also, I came to learn from this experience, and they're all these are not great dice. They're all basically chess X. I hate speckled dice. I hate them a lot
because it makes it harder to read the numbers.
Like that white speckling. Also, it's just like an ugly tint. I don't like it. Just get out of here.
Thanks, Wizards of the Coast, for making every promo D20 you ever sent out that design, though.
Fucking speckled. Yeah,
I basically won't use for anything of merit. I won't use anything that's not clear because I just can't hang with like the idea. Because like the dice that are opaque, you don't know if there's occlusions in them, and like I like science dice. Those are my favorite.
Barrel dice, guys.
You just bought dice made of dinosaur bone.
Yeah, of rock. Yeah, essentially.
And meteorite. All right.
Yeah.
I want to get a dinosaur ring for like a new wedding ring. I think, or a meteorite. I think maybe, you know what? I think I'm going to, this is my new idea. And my wife is going to love this. I'm going to get her, because she loves dinosaur. I'll get her dinosaur fossil ring, like just a band, and I'll get myself a meteorite since a meteor took out the dinosaurs. We'll have like a team.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. That's my claiming it here now. Done.
Kate talked me out of the. There's Artisan Dice makes a D20 out of human bone, and she talked me out of buying one.
Why? Dice used to just all be human bone.
Because essentially, like, and she has a point. Like, it's even because these are like retired lab cadavers, but like even those. Tracing back their legitimacy as far as like most lab cadavers, like it gets, the further back you trace these bodies, like it gets a little bit questionable and maybe unethical about how they were sourced. So
it's weird because they signed up to be lab cadavers and they obviously didn't sign up to have their bones turned into commercial dice.
Right.
But you should 100% be able to donate your body to be turned into dice. That's f***ing awesome.
That is awesome.
I want to be turned into dice.
Yeah. I would put a thing on mine. Do what you want with my organs, but my bones better be made into dice.
Right?
Yeah. And that way, when someone says they're going to roll the old bones, they mean mine. And
that
I'm
would
good
be
with
funny if just like someone like left like very specific instructions like per body part. So what to do with all of their body parts.
All right. So, Are we? I mean, I hate to like end our natural conversation, but are we ready to?
No, I do.
Maybe
I do like
roll
how
onto the
progressed from talking about my Soda Stream.
Yeah, like I don't know. Did our audience come here for 10 minutes on Dice and SodaStream? The answer is absolutely they did. They know who we are at this point.
And unethical body harvesting.
Yeah.
No, Johnny, what they're here for is talk about the high-end sealed video game market, because everyone is talking... No one cares about this. Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories on the Game Boy Color.
The Game Boy Color.
Sold...
Yeah. What the hell?
Raw!
What happened here?
As if it matters. For $15,000 on eBay. And
why?
I was curious about this. I'm like, that is very curious, because on Yahoo all the time, they're just like random American games listed. Like, I don't know what people in Japan are doing, selling like weird sealed Game Boy Color games. But I remember I saw one. It was like $1,800, $1,700. It's like some ridiculously high number. And I'm like, boy, that sure is a lot higher than the one I saw in Japan. And then I went to go look for it, and it had sold. So it sold for $1,700 right after this one sold for $15,000. And I'm like, boy, that is super dumb that there's such a price disparity. But the first print of Dark Duel Stories comes with 3 cards. It comes with Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, and Exodia. And I don't know anything about like the middle part of Exodia. I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I know those 3 cards. Those are like the 3 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that everyone knows. And then the reprint of Dark Duel Stories comes with 3 cards I've never heard of, but the cards sound and look like garbage. It's like a much smaller dragon and like acid trap, like cards that look like garbage. So what it looks like to me is that they put 3 of the most desirable cards in the Game Boy Color release, and then they were like, oh shit, we can't put the 3 best cards in the Game Boy Color game. We have to change them to these garbage cards instead. So the reason this sold for $15,000 is not because anyone actually wants this sealed game. They want to crack it open. Like, presumably, they want to crack it open, get the cards graded, and the cards themselves are worth, like, over $5,000 each. It's hard to say because, like, the difference between a PSA 8 and a PSA 10 for these cards is, like, $20,000. But I thought that's very interesting that there's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy Color game that has like cards inside it worth more than any Game Boy Color game in existence.
By the way, a terminology check for our audience. When we say a game is raw, we mean that it is sealed and not graded.
Oh, good terminology check. Even though I was saying it facetiously because it does not matter if this game was graded or not.
Sure, but that's regularly used now as, so yeah.
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 Okay, that's
right. So what do we actually
guys
talk
get
about
into
today?
cards? I don't understand cards, but I don't know Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, but I'm not just looking at Blue Eyes White Dragon cards because there's like a ton of Blue Eyes White Dragon cards that are worth like over $10,000. This specific weird ass Game Boy Color card, the top prices on it are like $25,000. So,
Yeah,
what?
Don't get into cards. Already have been into cards. That is the suggestion.
Sure.
Don't get into cards now. I'm been into
31, Stephan, and I grew up thinking that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the card game for kids. So how old, like, what's the average age of someone who's into Yu-Gi-Oh? Like 20 to 25, maybe? How do people have the money for these cards?
I don't know.
Who's buying these?
Probably the people who are old enough to be into expensive Pokemon cards and then are speculating on the next.
It's got to be that. They're like, are they just thinking like, well, the Yu-Gi-Oh guys are going to grow up and they're going to eventually have money to buy my Blue Eyes White Dragon?
Yep, I think that's exactly what it is.
Oh my god.
But if you are 21 to 25 and are buying exorbitantly expensive Yu-Gi-Oh cards, at Tyler, and we want to talk
Tell me about your money situation and what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
are
is
you
Palmer
Rem
lucky?
Stephan?
Is Palmer
Because
lucky
that's
in
the
the
only
Yu-Gi-Oh
way,
generation? He's younger than me, and
no, he's older. He's older than you.
I don't believe you.
Palmer Everyone is both younger and older than you, Tyler.
He's older and younger than me. That makes sense, though.
That's right. Just like everyone else.
Both ways. Johnny, do you want to talk about the show that we were going to get right into without any research?
Yeah, without any research. We really stumbled to the finish line on this episode. But I like where we got to as far as the research. we kind of came up and we didn't know what we were going to do. And then we were talking about just naturally what's been going on in the week. And you may have heard that the Justice League Snyder Cut came out and people are very excited, which is amazing that anyone is excited about a DC movie at all. If people really are. Anyways, it's out there and we're like, oh, well, maybe we should talk about some interesting superhero games. Games came with comics or something. Didn't really work out. What we decided on after going through all this, we're going to talk about DC games based off of DC comic properties that, mostly involve the Justice League. They aren't the rarest. They aren't the most collectible. They're just some that we found that we think are interesting. And we're going to talk about those on this episode. We're not going to go super long on it, but we got some that we thought were pretty good to go along with this Snyder Cut. So
occasionally the show is topical. That happens every once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while we try it out.
Yeah.
Tyler hates when the show's topical. Tyler wants everything to be as if the 90s never happened and we're just stuck in 1985, Johnny.
I know
holidays can never happen either.
I know Johnny hasn't seen it yet. Tyler, did you see the Snyder Cut yet?
I've never seen any DC movie. That's not true.
Well, and see, that's what that's kind of why I was excited to see it. And I'm not going to be spoilery, but that's why I was kind of excited to see it because I didn't see the original cut. I've only now seen the 4-hour Snyder Cut, and I liked it. I think no show or movie will ever sell me on Ben Affleck's Batman. Not a fan, but I had fun. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I like masturbatorially long movies. So any 4-hour movie just sounds excellent to me.
It was shot in 4:3, which is interesting. Which it was weird. I think it felt kind of gimmicky. I guess maybe they did it for like IMAX purposes because isn't it IMAX?
I think so.
4:3.
It's not like that. They're cropping it. The top and bottom are like the extra part that you're getting, which is super weird.
Yeah, that is strange.
It was the only strange thing about it because I watch like old DVDs and stuff on modern televisions, and that's all 4:3, and you get the vertical bars. But the one thing that I thought was interesting was that it's you were watching it in 4:3 with the vertical bars, but it was also in HD, which was striking because normally I expect my 4:3 content to look like crap. And so it was interesting that it was 4:3 but also HD. That was weird to get my head around.
Yeah, movies like that make me wish I had a theater screen instead of just a like standard size TV. That way you could maximize the image to the space rather than just dealing with being in 4:3 would be is going to be very strange. I plan on watching it. I have seen most of the DC movies. I've seen all the Wonder Womans. I've seen Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey. The only thing I didn't see was, weirdly enough, the Justice League movie, because after Batman, Superman, I was and Suicide Squad, I was pretty much out. So that kind of slowed me down.
But that's really all the prep you'd need anyway, right? Because that's the thing of the whole one of the big reasons why I think the Justice League Snyder's Cut is 4 hours is because it's introducing so many characters that did not get their own movie because DC was like real keen on just hurrying up and getting to their Justice League movie instead of like pacing it movie for movie like the MCU did. So there wasn't a terrible amount of I feel like there's so much more like movie homework you have to do to get to Avengers, right? Than there was for Justice League.
Yeah, I mean, but that movie homework's probably going to be much more enjoyable than what you're getting out of DCU. And I say that as someone who loves Batman, and I love the DC movies. Like even Man of Steel is a movie I like. I don't know. I like it a lot too. I don't know if I've waxed on this podcast about that before, but it is a movie I think which is maligned incorrectly, not necessarily that the audience is wrong, but because of how it was billed. Like you were billed that this was Superman, right? And like they kind of like you can see that with a little better editing, this becomes a better movie. it's not a Superman movie. It's Clark Kent becoming Superman. He doesn't know. He's only had the suit like a week at the point in which this comes in. So everyone's like, Superman wouldn't do this. That Superman would never. Oh my God, I can't believe they had him and all the destruction and damage and death. Superman's better. Like, no, he's not Superman. He's nobody. He doesn't know what his creed is. He doesn't have a creed. He's been at it a week, guys. He's new. So a better title, like Man of Steel, makes you think it's an established Superman movie. Like Batman Begins, tells you where you're coming from. Like a Superman Begins, like that's a little boring, but it could have like shown they were working within one universe and this is how he's becoming Superman. And if they had really leveraged that, Superman doesn't know what he's doing. He causes all this destruction, this fight with Zod, who he's never had to deal with anything like this. He hasn't had to do this. He doesn't know what all of the solutions are. And then seeing all the damage and destruction he causes and then having some remorse about that and the way he enacted himself and then developing the creed of, I have to be better than this. I need to be a Superman. I need to not kill people. I need to be a protector for Earth because this is the stake. If they would have done a better job of doing that, then I think people would have enjoyed the movie more. But instead they said, this is Man of Steel and everyone expected it to be Superman. And I found that flawed. And I think the movie I just described is actually sitting in there somewhere. If you look for it.
Also, not going to lie, but, and I know looking back now, you have to do some artist from art separation because it was Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey. Yeah. But I really like Superman Returns. I know it didn't review terribly well, but I like what is it, Brandon Routh's Superman. I like it. And I like the movie. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought that one was fine. I thought it was a little boring. It was not offensive. It was just a little boring.
Yeah. But there was there's that moment where he, because in the movie he has gone looking for Krypton and been away for a while and comes back and kind of when he gets there he first thinks that the world has kind of moved on without him and Lois Lane has written this piece about how the world doesn't need Superman, et cetera, because she's butthurt. But he comes back and there's a scene where he saves this plane full of people and sets it down in a full stadium, like a baseball stadium. And he walks out of the plane and the whole stadium erupts for him. And there's this confirming moment for him where he's like, oh, the world does need me. And I cried in that scene. It's very emotional for me.
Okay. Well, that seems wrong, but all right.
Look, I'm
going to shame you.
Really love this. Really really love that movie. And I'm very sorry that it's directed by a shithead and also co-starring a shithead.
It's one of your favorite movies. I'm like, it's inoffensive, kind of boring.
Well, it's
I stand by that criticism.
Not favorite. Might be one of my favorite Superman movies. Well,
I mean, that's a pretty low bar to jump.
I mean, that's fair.
So, I mean, everyone's got nostalgia for the first two Superman movies, but boy, are they not very good, actually. People can fight me on that. And you might like that Superman, and look, it's fine. It was enjoyable for the time, but that really, at the camp level and just making Lex Luthor kind of a buffoon, it was too much for me. And I don't hate the character of Superman. So Superman animated series is where I want to live. So I'll just stick to that.
Sure.
All right. But anyways, now that we've waxed on about these movies and you don't care about, perhaps we could let Tyler do a little talking and tell us about some of the games.
Hi, Tyler.
Wait, I was just trying to think of comic book movies I've actually seen. We're all talking about comic book movies that we like that no one else likes. I like the Watchmen Zack Snyder movie. It can never measure up to the comic, but I mean, come on, it's.
But what can? Yeah, I love all the extra long cuts of that movie. Yeah, when that one gets super long.
Oh my gosh.
I love that movie too. I actually enjoyed it more than and I read the comic after I saw the movie, but I actually enjoyed it more than the comic.
Okay, we're gonna move on from that opinion.
I think the comic
we're just
gets
getting into unacceptable.
No, because
levels.
there's the comic gets I don't know. It just puts in there's just some stuff that just gets overly obtuse, the cutaway pirate stuff and
I love it.
Isn't that like a motion comic that was like a special feature? They added that stuff back.
They did. They added it in. I forget what it's called. It's not the Black Pearl because that's Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I'm getting mixed up with the thing from Half-Life.
I'm just starting to watch the new Watchmen show. That's interesting.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's
like couple episodes in. Yeah. All right,
it's the Black Freighter. Black Freighter is what it is. Just wanted to... Anyways, Tyler, tell us about games.
Guys,
video games.
What's the first DC Comics game? We've talked about it probably twice on the show.
Superman
for Atari 2600.
Special edition with the wallet.
You gotta get the wallet. Yeah,
but that wallet
get the one with the wallet.
Not unique.
The prices on this have been nuts because guess what? Comic people are buying video games.
Because we're influencers?
Yes, 100% because of us, because we're influencers. Like, I don't even know. I didn't actually look up a price for this because I was only going to mention it in passing, but now I'm actually curious what they've been selling for on eBay, and we're going to do it live on the show, guys.
Take that, Josh Byerly. We're the real influencers.
What the actual hell?
I don't know where.
What's
sorry.
that shot about?
Oh, I did highest first. That is why the prices are so high. Like $100. Some buy it nows for. All right, nothing makes sense. All right, it goes for like $30, which are normal ones, and then some of them go for like $100. So, who knows? The cartridges literally sell for $1 because it's an Atari game, guys.
Okay, I have a question for you, Tyler, really quick.
Yes.
Do you feel like you insert the word "guys" now into your vocabulary more often because you watch Reserved Investments?
No.
Because I feel like
you're asking me to analyze my psychology. I don't know.
I feel like that's actually happening. I feel like you're putting in guys. No. You're putting in guys a lot when previously you did not.
Oh my god, that might be true.
Definitely didn't happen for me.
I've definitely started doing things ironically that have turned into things I do for serious. That happens with my wife a lot. We do that a lot. So I would not be surprised if I'm saying guys because I originally started saying it in a tone making fun of Reserved Investments. I'll give one fun fact about Superman on Atari 2600. The fun fact is the only superhero games on Atari 2600. Atari 2600 1977 through I said 1977. It's 1979, right? It's not 77 is when Atari came out. 1977 is Atari, and it ran up through 1990, and we got two superhero games, Spider-Man and Superman. That's crazy. Huh. Considering, superhero stuff was happening in the 80s. It's crazy that there's no Batman game. There was a Hulk game that was in development that was canceled. And then there's Buck Rogers. It would just be
one button that the button is smash, and you just...
I mean, probably the whole game would probably be pretty easy to make on 2600. You have the smash button. That's all you need. Right.
Yeah. Walk around and smash.
All right, but we're not talking about Marvel, so move on.
Oh my god.
God damn.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's my fun fact that there's no superhero games on Atari 2600, which is pretty weird.
It is kind of staggering that these properties were sitting out there and they weren't more taken advantage of. Even on the NES, there's not that many. But you can tell us more. What else you got for us?
What? No, you got Stephan. Talk about Sunman.
I am going to talk about Sunman. Sunman is
you
great.
got some Superman. What are your Superman fun facts?
Yeah, so I got a Superman fun fact. So Sunsoft for the NES, building off of the Batman engine, so the original Batman movie and Batman Returns. They built a Superman game for the NES that was actually kind of awesome, right? Because it's built off the awesome Batman games. At some point, they either didn't have the license to begin with, because back in the Wild West of the NES, that actually did happen, where people would make a game hoping that they would get the license, and then it didn't happen. So not a lot is actually known about how this went on, because of course you are now listening to me thinking what are you talking about? There was no Sunsoft Superman, right? So they didn't end up making it as a Superman game, but then they made it into Sunman, right? Because Sunsoft, right? So they turned the sprite all red essentially, and just turned it into this red Superman clone. But that didn't come out either. So they changed it from Superman to Sunman and then didn't release it. Years later, Lost Levels, that website, not the local the local game store out here. They found the prototype for this in Europe, and they actually found two versions of this prototype. A very early one in which the original sprite for Superman is in there. So, and they also talked to the game's producer, and he also confirmed that it was originally a Superman game. But then they also found the ROM for the completed, or at least completed as much as you could play all the way through it, said licensed by Nintendo on the title screen for Sunman. And then interestingly enough, in 2014, I want to say, in 2014, a ROM hacker actually put the original Superman sprite back into the finished version of Sunman and changed the title screen to say Superman and changed all the cutscenes and stuff. So you can now sort of play the finished game as the sort of original creative of Superman. So that is, of course, not for sale legally or officially, but the ROM is out there and you can go find it. So yeah, not a collectible game per se, but an interesting anomaly and a Superman fun fact for the NES.
Can you imagine?
That is a fun fact.
So Sun Corporation is the one who made Sunman, or Sunsoft, and they just put their name in front of Man and made that a thing. Can you imagine like Data East Man or Konami Man? It'd be like, who would buy that game?
I mean, they made Pepsi Man, right? That's a thing. Pepsi Man.
All right, what American would buy that game? Because you're right, the crazy stuff in Japan does work.
I don't know.
All right,
people.
No, answer the question.
Did we actually
tell him?
Did we actually get anything on the NES, Stephan? No.
No. We got a Superman on the NES.
We did,
and
just not that Superman.
Not that one. And if you don't know, it's a Kemco game. It's fairly forgettable. It does come in two different versions. There's a variant of it. It comes with a white oval seal or the black circle seal is available on this game. What can we say about it? It's about $100 game. From what I can tell, if you find the box, you're going to find mainly the circle seal. And I think one of the oddities is that the white oval, like you can find the white oval seal pretty commonly, but boxed white ovals, not very many of. And the last boxed white oval that sold went for like 165 when all the other ones were selling for around 100. So is the white oval more rare in box? Perhaps. Maybe someone is on that train of finding rare white oval games. Like, not many of these got second prints, and here they are. Let's snap those up because these are the rarest ones rather than the first ones. The classic debate, rarest or first.
Been going on for at least 2 years now, Johnny.
A whole year.
2 years. That classic debate used to just be the rarest. Now it's rarest or first. So here we are.
But Kemco game, not great. The Sunsoft game, pretty good. So if you want to play one, I mean, I'm not saying don't buy something to then go pirate another thing, but like, I'm just saying, Kemco game's pretty good. I mean, not the Kemco game. Kemco game is like this weird chibi art style, and it's just not.
So when I saw the Kemco game for the first time, I'm like, what did they do? Did they take some anime game and turn it into a Superman game? But no, it's actually a Superman game. It does not look like a Superman game at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like they just because I'm looking at these like the Japanese ads for it right now, and it was definitely intended on being a Superman game. They even have like a picture of like a reasonably adult-looking Superman sort of morphing into this chibi version.
It's very weird.
And it's a really, really strange aesthetic. But yeah, it was just a straight up. It looks like a straight up port from the Japanese.
Well,
the Famicom
do you not
version.
Want to know another reason I thought this originally wasn't a Superman game? Because it has like random Famicom music as the soundtrack for the game. But if you go back to the Japanese version of the game, it's got the Superman movie soundtrack. It's like they made it less Superman, porting it to the NES. Just weird game. I don't think you can import it though because it's got like adventure game elements. Not that I think anyone actually wants to play this.
No, probably not. I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe there's a better Superman game. Tell me, Stefan, is there a better one on the Super Nintendo that people should be playing?
Yeah, so I can start talking to you about the death and return of Superman.
But is it good?
It is good. It is a very competent beat 'em up. Although, personally, and Johnny and I talked about this in pre-show, I always find it odd when you have Superman as a beat 'em up character because he's
real dumb,
invincible, and the strongest thing ever. And so, like, a beat 'em up interaction should be like, guy tries to hit Superman, breaks his fist, and then Superman punches through his face. Like that like, and I understand from a gameplay logic that doesn't really hold up, but it always like feels weird when Superman's in a beat 'em up and he's just like, oh, he gets knocked out by fucking dude with knife.
Like maybe the story addresses it, like Lex Luthor sends bunch of random dudes, each holding a tiny piece of kryptonite in their pocket.
Well, there's also like weird goat guys, and I mean, there's a lot of weird characters. But also, why doesn't Superman just turn on heat vision and just melt everybody and move on? If that's like, and you can say, well, he won't kill people, so he's, and not investing all of his strength into his attacks. It's like, okay, well then why doesn't he just jump up in the air and fly past him? Or like freeze breath, or like any other thing than like being punched and falling over because Knife Guy got him. That's so dumb.
Knife Guy. Yeah, so this one follows the story arc of the death and return of Superman from the comic book storyline, culminating in Doomsday. So one interesting thing about it that I think is interesting anyway is that it was part of the and I'm sure Tyler will talk, or someone else is going to talk about this when we talk about the Justice League game. But this game was instrumental in the creation of Diablo because Sunsoft simultaneously had Condor, which is the developer that ended up being the developers of Diablo. Are you talking about the right game? Yeah.
Oh wow.
So they were simultaneously they had the Death and Return being were having Blizzard develop it, like Blizzard South, like our Blizzard, and then simultaneously they were having Condor make the Justice League game. And they were strikingly similar, and yet neither studio knew the other one was actually working on a game for Sunsoft, a superhero game for Sunsoft. So yeah, those two games sort of got those two studios talking, and then Condor ended up becoming another Blizzard studio and creating Diablo. So that game is Death and Return is also sort of instrumental in the storyline of Diablo coming to fruition. But as far as collectability,
okay, hold on.
What
the f*** are you talking about? Condor didn't work on Death and Return of Superman.
No. Were you listening to what I said?
No,
because that's not at all what I said.
But you just pivoted entirely to a different game.
No, I said Condor was working on Justice League while Blizzard was.
But
working
Blizzard
on
and Condor both worked on Justice League, so that's how they met.
Was it?
Because Blizzard did one version of Justice League, Condor did the other, and then they met at CES.
Is that true?
That's true.
Oh. Well, really? All right.
Wow, that got awkward.
That got real awkward. Now I don't know what to do. Do I start over?
We just ruined the whole episode. All right, guys, we're going to start over. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny and Stephan.
So, Stephan, don't you have something to say about your soda stream?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Like, real talk, though. What do you want to do from now on?
Well, we just correct the record. Blizzard worked on Death and Return of Superman, and then, like, the next year, Justice League Task Force happened, which is where Blizzard worked on Super Nintendo version, and Condor worked on the Genesis version. And then they met, and then Blizzard's like, whoa, you guys are working on Diablo. that seems like a cool game. We want to publish that game, or our parent company wants to publish that game. And at that point in time, Diablo was like a turn-based game, and Blizzard was like, "Hey, let's make this game not suck." And they made it not suck.
They weren't okay.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not how that happened either.
What?
We're both wrong. We're both wrong because that's not how that happened either.
All right.
Because Condor wasn't working on Diablo at the time. It was like early concept.
That's
They had like a paper document.
It counts. You would collect that, so it counts as physical.
No, and then they were already. So then they started to develop it, and significantly into development is when they decided to take it from turn-based to real-time. And the developers were like, "Oh, it's going to take for ever, and we need all this money." So like Blizzard gave them all that money, and then it turns out like one developer was able to change the system literally in an evening. So they got
it's like
all
GoldenEye
of this,
multiplayer.
They got all of this extra. They got all of this extra development money for literally like a night's worth of work from one dev.
Wow.
And in the morning it was just working. So that's how that change happened.
Stephan,
but
vintage game development sounds so cool. Like no one who worked on The Last of Us 2 could have done something like that. But like you get into the 80s and 90s and it's just like, oh yeah, this guy did this and he created video game history forever.
Yeah. Thank God for Todd, right?
Fundamentally changed gaming as we know it in an evening.
Yeah. Way to go, Todd. We appreciate you staying late last night.
Yeah. Thanks for the crunch time. We'll give you time and a half.
Wow, we just said a lot of like wrong stuff and then corrected a bunch of right stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome
basically,
to Collector's Quest.
I don't care about Justice League games. I was thinking of a way to talk about Diablo instead, which is a much more interesting game. Anyway, back to Superman games, guys.
We just
back
did
to I mean, I'm going to jump in on this. Like one of the interesting things about this, and we'll get the same thing on Justice League, but when Genesis games and Super Nintendo games typically happen, you get like some weird Genesis game and some weird they are not the same game usually. They don't usually attempt to be like, this one's a beat 'em up and this one isn't. It's a platformer like Pirates of Dark Water, or this one's a point and click like Scooby-Doo, and then this one's a platformer. You get a lot of weird stuff. For these games, though, they really focused, and the Genesis and the Super Nintendo game, while not exactly the same game because they were made by different people and the sprites are a little bit different, but they are both beat 'em ups and they attempt to follow the same storyline.
So to be clear, we're talking about Justice League Task Force?
And also Death and Returns of Superman. Okay,
because Justice League Task Force is a one-on-one fighting game, and Death and Returns of Superman is like a beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's a beat 'em up. I'm speaking mainly on Death and Returns. I'm just saying that they both, in fact, tried to do the same thing. Specifically, Death and Return is a beat 'em up on both systems, rather than doing the weird Genesis Super Nintendo platformer over here, beat 'em up over here. That's not what happened. They kept it the same. Like I said, the sprites and the music are obviously different, but kept it similar. It was like that DC or something said, this storyline's got to be consistent. We're working on a thing. This is a major marketing push for us on, many different platforms, many media types. So keep it tight. Anyways,
also weird about this game, talking about prices specifically for the Super NES. So Genesis, like normal, like the Genesis version is cheaper than the Super Nintendo version complete, right? Genesis is hovering around like the $90 mark. But Super Nintendo is doing some weird gymnastics over on the eBays, ranging from like $120 to $400 right now, complete. And I'm not super sure as to why.
There's one
it says
for like
Superman on it, Stephan.
No, I know,
but there's one that's like $120 for a complete one, not great, but then just a manual is $80.
Yeah, and like that $120 one and like the $400 one were like a week apart, so it's like what the I don't know
some observation. Super Nintendo's had a lot of weird movement, and people are typically buying nicer copies of games right now and kind of leaving the chaff for others. But I feel like Super Nintendo games, as I've been looking at them lately, it's running a little thin on complete games, especially nice complete games. Clearly, there are pockets of buyouts happening right now where people are snapping them up. I'm sure there's some investor like just cursing me for saying the things that were supposed to be left unsaid so they could make their monies. But yeah,
well, they're taking
definitely
their
money anyway.
Yeah, Super Nintendo games have been going away for a couple months now. So keep an eye out on that for nice Super Nintendo games. I know I talk a lot about like Super Nintendo not specifically being appreciated by the investor community. But maybe, I don't know if, they're just buying them up to like lay in wait to see if a big push happens or not. So I wouldn't be surprised if, in the future here, we start to see a bigger push on Super Nintendo, start to see more of them in auctions and whatnot.
So the $400 one, it was both in nice shape and had the registration card. And I don't see a lot of them with the registration card.
Sure, but like a $200 to $300 delta?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeesh.
I don't know, man. It looks like a generic registration card too. It's just a Sunsoft card. It doesn't say Superman on it. I don't know. I mean, to some, like, if you're a comic person, $400 is nothing for a comic book if you're playing in like the key issue thing. So if you just wanted this game, you wanted like a really nice 100% complete copy, and this was the first one that came up, and it was $400, you're not going to be like, I really should only be paying $200.
That also was that $120 one was like a natural auction, whereas the $400 one was a buy it now.
Sure.
So that also sort of runs along with that narrative.
Right. So that covers, I think, the Superman stuff for that era.
It got real weird.
I do want to talk real quick. Just I've got a hot take for Superman games.
Whoa.
And hear me out, guys. I say guys because I say that a lot. I just want it to be clear that I do
but it's not just that. It's not just that Tyler says it. It's how he says it.
Okay. I just want it to be clear. I don't watch reserved investments. I just want
Tyler
that
literally does
to
go,
be known.
guys.
I don't care. I'm just making my point there. It's not from there. Okay? Cool.
All right.
Anyways, my hot take, Superman 64. Less expensive
Superman
than
the
it
game
should
for
be.
Commodore 64?
No, Superman on the N64. I think it's less, well, I want to be clear. It's the collector's edition that I'm talking about.
No.
And if you don't know what I mean, that it's the collector's edition of the N64 game, all of the copies that were ever made have a little silver badge on them that say collector's edition. At least I think that's true. I don't think they made enough to get to a non-collector's edition copy, but it does come with a couple of items that you're going to want to make sure you have. It's got like an Atlas card, and Atlas is a publisher that always becomes collectible, so look for that. It's got a poster, and it has a mini comic.
Wait, is it Atlas? It's Titus, right?
Titus, yeah, sorry, okay. Titus.
Good. Now we've all been wrong about something. That's very important.
I just misspoke. That's well, whatever. Anyways, still, Titus is a publisher that gets snapped up. But the mini comic, the poster, it also has, some infamy. So it's got it's a Superman game, but it has that infamy of being the worst N64 game. But we're walking into markets where people don't care about gameplay anymore, right? Like, I barely care about gameplay on half the stuff I buy. Like, I'm not like, well, I hear this is a really good game, so I'm going to go buy it so I can play. That's not what I'm doing here. But investors in the market, they definitely don't care. And it's got like some of those, key items like a comic book and a poster sitting in there. So I think the $70 that it currently sits at is maybe a little low. So that's all I'm saying. You can get it for about $70, $65 complete. If you don't have it yet and you're ever worried about this, I would just say sooner than later to pull the trigger and make sure that you have a complete copy.
There's zero nice complete ones on eBay right now. And so 75, there was a buy it now for 75 that was not 100% complete, but had the poster and the comic. That looks like it was probably underpriced considering how, like you're saying, like all the nice stuff's gone, guys. Yeah. I
mean, there was some other completeds in that range.
There was an auction that ended for 100 that didn't have the poster. I mean, it could just be that, video games are all over because everything is completely crazy right now. That's probably a good thing to say. If you want your Superman 64, you should pick it up now. As if like there's a bunch of people who really want Superman 64.
No, but if we're talking about the comic people coming in, like if they're going to stick to what they know, and Superman is what they know, right? So sure. Superman is one of the biggest characters ever. So I mean, I think people laugh when you say Superman N64, but to the people who might be looking to pick this up,
I mean, it doesn't have that factor, stigma. You're right. Like people buy ET on Atari because ET is one of the worst games ever made.
Oh, like, did it get expensive
selling
somehow?
Point.
Yeah. So just throwing it out there that now is the time to look at those kind of things. Anyways, Tyler, let's go on to a hero that I like more than Superman.
Wonder Woman.
Oh, tell me about all of the Wonder Woman games.
I didn't want to get into this now, but yeah, all right, everybody think of your favorite Wonder Woman game.
Go ahead, we'll wait.
All right.
Did you find one yet?
What? Was it the mobile game that came out in 2017? The only Wonder Woman game?
The only one. The only one. In this span of history, there are no individual one. What kind of tragedy is this? Think of all the shitty properties.
There are more Wonder Woman board games than there
I don't care about
video games.
Yeah. Okay, so Tyler, can you give me one reason maybe that you think that there are no Wonder Woman games?
No! Because only boys buy video games is one of the
misogyny.
People
misogyny
in,
is
like,
misogyny
the 80s,
the answer.
90s, and 2000s?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, just that underlying, like, boys don't want to play as a girl. Like, I mean, you just look at it, it's just like a bad take. But you would think, oh, that's fine for the 80s and the 90s. But what about the 2000s and the 2010s?
Aquaman got a game in 2003. And not like Aquaman's unpopular. He's in the Justice League, but Wonder Woman's in the Trinity. Like, I can't. What would the Marvel equivalent be? Marvel. I don't even know Marvel stuff. Who's the most popular Marvel people? Like right now, probably Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, something like that.
Yep.
Did I miss one?
I
like,
mean,
what if like
Scarlet
Iron Man had 0 video games?
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. Scarlet Witch probably doesn't have. Our Scarlet Witch doesn't have any games.
Black Widow doesn't.
Black Widow doesn't have any video games.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Marvel stuff, but those seem like some again, A-
she is part of the
to
Trinity.
Me.
She is the Trinity, right? Like the Trinity of DC is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. That's their Trinity. How in the F, especially like in the golden age of that animation where you had all the Justice League games, which she's in, we know she's in games. How did she not get her own? Like Flash got a standalone game, Aquaman's got a game. You didn't put Wonder Woman in a game? How? Like you didn't even call it like
she's got a lasso, just make some God of War game.
Yeah, I mean anything. I mean, you could use
movies recently. She didn't get a game. Those are like popular movies. People are like, "Oh, this is the only good DC movie right now," and like, she still didn't get a game.
Yep.
I think Injustice 2 is probably the most recent thing that she's
been in. Yeah,
was in.
Like, and it's fine. She's been in games, but like, you just think Batman has so many games. Superman has so many games across so many different. Like, she didn't even. Howard the Duck has a Commodore 64 game. Okay, like this is the thing I'm talking about. How did Wonder Woman not accidentally get a game? Just one, like one bad one somewhere.
Isn't Dazzler an X-Men? Like what? I was just thinking about just like third string, female superheroes that got appearances, but still like nobody still has gotten their own game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's fascinating that it hasn't happened.
Wait a minute, is there any female superhero that's gotten their own
I'm
game?
thinking now, like female superheroes have bad rates of appearances in games.
Yeah, it's not a good look, I guess. No, I mean
definitely no Supergirl. Definitely no Storm.
Yeah. No Jean Greys, no Phoenixes.
Catwoman! There's a Catwoman game.
Yeah. There's a movie.
But she's not a hero, and I did mean to bring her up. I was going to bring her up in the hey, a woman who got a game section.
Also, like the weird Halle Berry movie was the one.
Yeah, there are 2 Catwoman. Well, Catwoman is on like N64 and Xbox, but there is a Game Boy Color version of it that is not the Halle Berry one. It is the It is the 90s DC one, and that game goes, since we're already on it, I was going to talk about it later, but it goes for about $35 to $95. It's got like sweet comic art on it. If you're into this kind of thing, yeah, I know it's Game Boy Color. My apologies. But go out and grab that game. I just recently showed it on my Instagram. So if you're interested in that, go look. There aren't that many completes around anymore. So keep your eyes out. Piece it together if you have to. The box is going to be the hardest part on that to find. Excellent box, though. Anyways. And avoid anything that had to do with the Halle Berry Catwoman. That was atrocious. But also not Catwoman's first appearance in a game, because that was in Batman Returns.
Ooh. I played the Halle Berry Catwoman game. You have to go around and collect prizes, if I remember. That's what the bonus items were called.
Are you kidding? What a bad idea. Anyways, let's talk about that hero I just alluded to. Batman. I gave us a segue.
Oh, Batman. That's who you were talking about.
He doesn't have any games, right?
12 minutes ago? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell me.
Oh, you want me to talk about the first Batman game?
Yeah.
Because it's some stupid microcomputer game that no one cares about except for Tyler. Hey!
Me.
1986, which is 7 years after Superman got a game. Again, just surprising that these properties were not completely blown out like they are now. Batman was released for ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, and Amstrad PCW, which I've never even heard of. This was the first Batman game. It looks exactly like Nightlore. If you don't know what Nightlore is, it looks exactly like Solstice. It's kind of like an isometric platformy looking thing. Although I'm not sure if Batman's a platformer. It probably is. I don't know. And yeah, it's cheap. I don't know how cheap it is, but all these microcomputer games cost nothing. I was just talking about how I bought a bunch of them. And I also want to point out there is a fairly common ZX Spectrum +2 action pack, which includes RoboCop and the Batman the movie game, which is not this Batman. So there is not a computer bundle that includes this game. Don't be tricked. In fact, the other two games on British microcomputers mainly are Batman the Caped Crusader in 1988 and Batman the movie. So there are 3 Batman games kind of from this era, and they all just kind of look like Batman. Well, I guess Batman the Caped Crusader has the thing on it. Anyway, get them right. Get the 1986 Batman. It's the first Batman game. Collectible. Gonna be worth $400. Move your money now to British microcomputer games. Oh, but Wada's not going to grade them. What a disappointment.
Not grade them yet.
Dennis, you listening to the show? Grade cassettes. You need to grade cassette cases. You would encapsulate so many games.
And you could start grading cassettes in general and expand your business, because tapes are becoming collectible.
Right? And great DVD movies. I mean, come on, you already have the case size for them. I want to grade my my DC animated movies because I like them a lot. I want to get that 9.8 A++.
Anyways, you can have that idea for free, Dennis.
Yep. I'm sure he doesn't have anything on his plate.
Yeah, no, he
definitely listens to the show.
Does not. All right.
Does not.
I just want to point out Batman the Caped Crusader. If you have not seen that game, it looks awesome. And I just mean looks. I haven't played it, but it's like a platform adventure type of game. And every screen you move between appears as a new comic panel. It draws it on the screen, and then it fades out your old panel into the background. So it kind of has this like actual comic book aesthetic, which for the time nothing was doing until like Comic Zone, I don't think. And then Batman the movie in 1989, there's a computer version where all the computer versions are the same, and then the NES and Genesis versions of that are their own thing, and like PC Engine, I think they're their own thing, right, Johnny?
Yeah, PC Engine is completely different. Like the Genesis and the Nintendo one, you're taking a leap, from 8-bit to 16-bit, so it's going to be different, but it's basically kind of like platforming. Genesis one, bigger sprite, looks pretty good, plays fine. The NES one is like kind of a classically hard, wonderful game, but the TurboGrafx 16, I say Turbo, but I mean PC Engine, because it never came out in America. That is like a top-down game, and that looks kind of awesome. I'm into it. Go check it out if you haven't seen it, because it's Batman. It's a completely different play type if you're looking at Batman the movie, and we're not going to get into all the Batman Returns stuff, but it's like a pretty sweet game if you're looking at getting some titles from other countries. I would highly recommend looking at that one. I've looked at that one many times, and now is a good time to mention our sponsor, Cheap Games, where you can find Batman for the PC Engine for a cheap price. That's right. Hit up Red the Game Shark for cheap Games. Actually, he had this one sealed for, I don't know, I think like a year, and I picked it up probably 10 times in a year in which I saw him, and I didn't buy it, and I'm kind of regretting it now.
Was it cheap?
It was cheap. I think it was like $100 or $70 or something. And now I'm just like, why didn't I buy that? I should have bought that.
Jeez, Johnny, come on.
I should
have bought that.
I've seen that sealed a few times. It's like I don't know how PC Engine games work. It's definitely one that comes up sealed, but I bought that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it was like maybe a $50, $60 game when I bought it. Maybe I'm misremembering, but it wasn't like one of like the cheapy whatever PC Engine games. I definitely had to like specifically go and buy that for a few bucks.
Yeah, it wasn't like one of the $10 ones. It carries a little cachet and weight.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out, just because we mentioned all the versions of Batman the movie, Batman for NES. I say this in like, we're living in 2021. It's still like a $50 game, like maybe $60 for like a nice one.
Seems cheap.
One of the highest regarded, like it's not my favorite NES game or anything, but a lot of people really like it. Plus, it's a good freaking game. Batman.
Like, how is it this low still? What are people doing?
Yeah,
they made a million of them.
It's obviously a super well-made game, and the music is outstanding. Just everyone go buy Batman. The official Collector's Quest hype. Everybody go buy Batman. Yes. To the moon.
And to the moon, baby. Get it. That's all the energy I have for that. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
All right.
That's all we need. Right. And then go buy Batman NFTs. I don't know.
Absolutely buy a Batman NFTs. And if you want like some sweet alternate Batman covers, Famicom and some of the microcomputer ones have, like, for the Batman the movies, like really nice clean Batman covers. The Batman for NES, I don't love like the blue above and below it. It takes away from it, but you get like the Famicom, just like a clean one. Really nice.
They could have made it so stark and black and
and instead they made it look garbagey.
They did kind of make it look garbagey.
Yeah, I don't like the worst part about this game is the box, weirdly, because everything else about the game is like pretty good. So yeah,
we're not talking about it, look at the sequel, Return of the Joker, also like some of the best box art in NES. The Joker with the Batman symbol in his eyes.
Absolutely, yeah,
that's super
really good. Yep. And then you have like the Genesis one is much better than ours. Just ours is so bad.
Ours?
Now
ours?
Ours as in North America. Like,
okay.
I don't know why I'm taking ownership.
I thought you were talking
Nintendo
about the NES
stuff.
version. Like Nintendo is us and Genesis is all the others.
Yeah, like me and my Genesis games, I want to make sure I'm not lumped in with those guys. Yeah, no. It's just upsetting that I love Batman so much and I hate when they do dumb things. Anyways, I could get into it. I don't need to like diatribe about this. Move us on, Tyler.
What to what?
Tell me about
the Atari Lynx Special Edition. You want me to talk about that, Johnny?
No, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so I said we weren't going to talk about Batman Returns, but I love Batman so much. I saw this like really wonderful dumb thing that I didn't know existed, and this is more of me just highlighting something cool that I hadn't heard of, and maybe you will too. There is a special edition console for the Lynx. The console itself is just the Lynx to. It's nothing special, but there's a box with Batman Returns imagery on it, and they call it their special edition. There's also another Atari Lynx box, which just has a picture of the cart on there, or not the cart, the box art for Batman Returns, which for on the Lynx is also just a bat symbol. Looks pretty nice, but that's not the one you want. You want the special edition that's like $400 and has the Batman Returns characters on it. And suddenly I'm thinking about buying a boxed Lynx, which is it's a strange feeling for me. I don't know.
It's a weird
I don't
thing.
know how to feel about it. I have mixed emotions.
It sure looks like something you would buy because it's
totally
a video
looks
game thing with like a licensed property slapped on it. And I know you like these kind of special consoles, but man,
I do.
It's also a Lynx, Johnny.
I know. For a while, like one of my first goals, and I don't know if I've ever talked much about this, like I wanted to have every console boxed like that you could get in America. So I own a Lynx. I have a Lynx out in my garage. That's why I have the Panasonic. That's why, I have a 3DO. I have these systems for a reason. I never ever want to play them. It's why I have a boxed Jaguar and Jaguar CD, which I should probably get rid of. What am I ever going to do with them? But, I think I want this. I'm going to wait because there's been some better closed prices on this. The ones that are available right now are pretty high. If I can get it for like $200, I will spend $200 on it.
All right. I'm someone's gonna hit me on this. Like no one cares about the Lynx. I'm not calling Lynx bad. I've actually played good games and like chip challenges on Lynx. Ninja Gaiden 3 is on Lynx. I played it. It's a port. It's not a great port. It's a port.
It's a port.
Lynx games are cool. Lynx is cool.
You can get a pinball game that features Elvira on it. Pretty cool, right?
Rampart's a good game.
Hey, you can play the worst version of Rygar, which is the arcade version.
Oh, great. There's that Dracula game with the cool box art.
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
what
also,
that is. I just know there's like a vampire game.
It is. It's called Dracula. Yeah, you did it. Isn't Ninja Gaiden 1 on there as well?
It is, but it's the arcade game, so who cares?
Okay. Yeah, kind of like Rygar. Avoid.
Oh, why'd they do that? Atari, no one wants your arcade games. Give us the console ports on the handheld. Come on. They probably thought they were so cool. Like, we're not going to have to give them the NES version. We're going to give them the real version of Ninja Gaiden and Rygar that people don't want to play. I mean, I'm sure, whatever. People in the 80s probably wanted those, but.
So,
stupid 80s people.
Stephan, you want to talk about your little Batman facts? We've been eclipsing your ability to talk. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I've been doing stuff.
I had to listen to you guys talk about Zack Snyder movies, so you know what?
That's true, and my Soda Stream. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about my Batman Rise of Sin Tzu.
Okay, tell us about it. What's interesting about this game as far as Batman goes?
The base game, nothing. It's absolutely don't buy it.
Well, it's based off like animated series property, which is pretty cool.
It is. But there's collector's editions, and that's where the jam is, people. So the odd thing though is that while the Xbox and PS2 versions of the collector's editions both feature action figures of various combinations, because last time I talked about this a couple years ago, and last time I ended up being wrong because I was like, oh yeah, Batgirl's not on they don't have Batman, or they don't have the Batgirl figure for the PS2 version. That ended up being wrong. So I know there are three available figures across the two platforms. Four. So there is Batman, and there is Batgirl, and there is Robin, and there's Nightwing. And so across those two platforms, there are some combination of 4 action figures. I don't know what goes where, because every time I say something, I end up being wrong. But the GameCube version, what makes this kind of an odd
which
thing.
figures on that? Which figures in the GameCube? It's got to be a good one, right? Because Nintendo.
Nintendo. You'd think they'd go back to bat for something cool. Nope. The GameCube version indeed has a lithograph.
Whoa, a lithograph. That sounds fancy.
I can hang that on my wall.
You could get that framed. You can get that sucker framed.
Oh.
Don't buy the GameCube version unless it's for your set, which, set collecting is stupid. So why would you do that? But it is much
weird
cheaper.
To be like, it feels weird to be like, don't buy the Nintendo one. Go buy the Xbox one.
Yeah. So the GameCube version is substantially cheaper because it's dumb. At $60, and normally I talk about CIB prices. Now this time, this is one of those things where you are more likely to either find just the game alone or find it sealed. Like you less often do you find this thing actually opened. So So yeah, the sealed prices on the Xbox and PS2 versions hover around like $150 to $200, depending on. Sometimes, very occasionally, you'll see it hit like $250 if you really, if someone really wanted that particular figure or whatever. But yeah, so somewhere around there. GameCube much less at $60.
Because they knew they didn't need to include some bullshit to sell the GameCube version, because everyone's just going to want GameCube stuff, just like now.
Just like now.
That's exactly how it was, I'm sure.
I mean, yes. There was also a GBA version of this. Also didn't come with anything, just so you know.
Dumb.
Yeah, real dumb.
Yeah. There you go. That's my last thing.
Okay. I can only add, like, real quick as another fun, like, collectible, and I wanted to include a comic in this. So Batman, Dark Tomorrow for the Xbox and GameCube come with a mini comic, which is pretty cool. Except that if you want it on the Xbox, it's like $20 and you can find it with the comic. But if you want it on the GameCube, it's like $50. The comics are not the same though. So you can't just be like, oh, I'll buy the Xbox one and get a shitty copy for the GameCube and steal the comic out of the Xbox one. Nope. You can't do that. Different comics. So,
but if you do that enough times and start listing them on eBay, inevitably someone will think you can, and they'll get like published somewhere, and you'll change history forever.
Yeah, you could really mess things up. So please do.
All right, so we want to talk about. I mean, that's not like every Superman and Batman game. Those are just a few interesting ones. No, we wanted to talk about.
There's no way comprehensive.
So there are all the Batman Arkham games that had collector's editions, and I'm sure each successive one came in a bigger crate that you can stick in a corner in your game room and be like, I wonder what's in that crate. I don't remember. Probably some statue. Actually, I do.
I actually have a few.
What was it? Arkham City had the statue with the Joker and all the TVs. That was actually kind of a cool statue, if I remember correctly. But
it really was. Yeah.
I don't collect statues. No, I don't have room for that crap. Stop it. Okay, actually, Johnny, tangent. I might not hate collector's editions because I realize I've been buying more collector's editions this year. I hate collector's editions that come with statues, which is almost everything. Like once you get to like, 2006 and on, it's like all garbage and statues and stuff like that. But earlier collector's editions, I'm finding, I want like Grand Theft Auto Collector's Edition on PC. There's nothing different about it. It's just a different box, but I still want it. I've been buying more stuff like that. And
that's a weird pivot.
It's made me think, like, maybe I don't hate collector's editions. I just hate statues and really big boxes.
See, how is this helping you meet your collecting goals, Tyler?
I mean, it's not really helping me meet my collecting goals. It's just me thinking about my collecting goals as I've decided, like, which versions of games I want to buy. Like, I won't spoil a good thing I bought. But, I don't know, just something I thought I'd point out.
Well, there are statues, which I like. So some cool statues, like if it's a nice statue, I just don't like really rushed, crappy statues. And we've moved past the era of like getting statues. We've moved past the era of even getting posters or manuals with our game. So it's like, now it's like special editions. Like, here's what I hate about new special editions. I'm like actually okay with some of the older special editions as we move on, but I'm not in it for your buttons and your stickers. Like, I don't mind getting a button, like, just as a throw-in, whatever, but when you tell me with your, like, 0.2 cent sticker that this makes it a collector's edition, I'm not for that. Like, the, Nicalis or whatever publisher with the Switch games, they throw some extra stickers in their first prints, that's totally cool, whatever. But when you try to, like, base a whole special edition around that, like, especially when back in the day we were spending $80 for a special edition and getting like a Batarang or a statue, and now this is what it's like, I'm out.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Super dumb. So tell me more. What else we got? Let's move away from Batman. Or you got more on this?
No, I was just saying I don't like statues also because I don't like separating out complete in box games. Like, if there's something cool in a complete in box game, I'm just gonna keep it in that box. I don't care how cool it is. So whatever, I'm sure there's Uncharted collector's editions that have statues in them, but I'd never display the statues. I'd just be like, that's weird that game's not complete anymore because I took that thing out, and I'd want to put it back in. The Flash 1991, Johnny. I'm going to blow some Gen Z kids' minds here.
Do it.
I say kids, but
as your mind was also blown.
Yes,
because
my millennial ass mind was blown. The Flash, 1991 on Game Boy, based on a 1990 TV show, live action Flash. It had one season. I had no idea this show existed. It looks cheesy as f***. It has like a bunch of fast motion sped up footage of like the Flash doing stuff.
Got Mark Hamill.
Johnny and Stephan were like, wow, Tyler, you're the biggest idiot. You didn't know this show existed.
Not the biggest idiot.
I'm the biggest
but like not the smallest either.
No, but like Mark Hamill was in it. The suit was neat. Well, especially because I was into costuming, right? Back in the day. I was into costuming when it wasn't called cosplay because I'm old. We were like the way they did like kind of the fabric-y looking stuff on the latex suit was really cool. So, cause most of that suit was like latex undercoating, or polyurethane, but the way they got like that, like red velvety sheen on it was pretty cool. So lots of guys like really started to go out and try and get that same feel in a lot of their costumes. It was like, the show was whatever. It was fine. I watched it as a kid and I liked it. I was sad it got canceled.
I will never watch it, Johnny, so I can't commiserate with you there. Unlike Pirates of Darkwater, which I feel like I might actually end up watching one day because of.
Yeah, you're gonna have to because we have to.
We're gonna have to have
I don't recommend
podcast.
Yeah,
but it's gonna have a different name than what we planned because it already exists.
No, I think we just take it. That's the pirate way.
People have taken Collector's Quest, like
people like legitimately like writing letters to these people. Hey, please stop using my IP. Thanks, appreciate it. And they're like, we're over on a different side of the world. We don't give a shit. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Intellectual property lawsuits aren't worth it.
So the Flash on Game Boy selling for like an average of $20, and there were like 3 or 4 in solds on eBay, and there are more available now. I remember this being like one of the hardest to get Game Boy games when I was getting just a loose Game Boy set. Like I couldn't even find this game for sale at all, and now it's like easily selling for $20, no problem. Complete in box, there is one for $140 that was a buy it now, and the price checking sites don't have anything going back for like 4 years on this game. I can't believe a complete in box one sold for $140. This has to be one of the rarest boxes on Game Boy. Right?
Or just a Game Boy box.
Or just any Game Boy box. But yeah, if you're one of these guys who likes superhero games, this would be definitely one to have complete in box. Tyler will think you are definitely cool if you have the Flash on Game Boy.
I have it. Woo, you think I'm cool.
Nothing you have counts because you bought everything 10 years ago, Johnny, so nothing's cool.
I bought the Flash a couple of years ago.
Your status symbols only count if I know that you paid hundreds of dollars for them. It's not the symbol; it's the symbol of wealth that you had to acquire it. So if you acquired it when it wasn't expensive, Johnny, it doesn't count. Sorry.
Does it count if I bought it like under 5 years ago?
Maybe. I mean, yeah.
Because I didn't do a big push into Game Boy stuff until like the last 5 years.
Oh, well,
I mean, I bought.
Yeah, sure, it counts. Actually, except for this last sale, all the price tracking sales are under $100, which again, kind of can't believe considering how I never see this game complete in box or in my experience at all. Another interesting fact about this game, it's a separate game. There's a Sega Master System, The Flash game, also based on the show that came out in 1993. This show was canceled in 1991. I don't know how long it takes to develop a Sega Master System game. This game could not have been in development for 3 years. Imagine what's a show that was popular in 2019 that is irrelevant now. It's like if we got the big video game for
Game of Thrones. Just imagine Game of Thrones.
Sure.
Especially after the catastrophic ending of that show, then trying to like make other stuff on it. Oh wait, they are trying to do that, and it looks sad each time.
Wait, are they making more stuff?
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure they are. Well, because the thing is, so HBO's viewership like dropped off deep end when that show ended. Yeah. So they're like, oh, how do we get our viewers back? Well, I guess we're going to make more Game of Thrones. So yeah.
Does that exist? I don't even know.
Yeah, they're doing like a prequel.
Oh, all right. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll watch it.
It's called Game of Thrones: Return of the Viewers.
Yeah, I'll give you another fun fact about this Flash game. One, it didn't come out in America because it's Sega Master System.
Oh.
But also, it got a Classics edition. So It was good enough that they got a Classics of it, but never made it to America.
Maybe the TV show is still running in Europe. Like, do they just get things late over there? They're like, here, have this canceled TV show from America 2 years ago.
Who knows?
I mean, we probably get late stuff from Europe. I don't know. Do we have Doctor Who on the same schedule, or did we always have Doctor Who on the same schedule?
Well, like Harry Potter books used to come.
I mean, now we have Doctor Who on the same schedule, but we didn't during Classic.
I don't know.
It's possible. Anyways, yeah. What is next? What else do we have after the Flash?
The Flash game and the third DC superhero to have a game, I believe. And then now we're going into the fourth DC superhero to have a game.
Yeah, I just want to say that real quick. That Flash game is like $75. And then just to go back to Batman Rise of Sin Tzu. So the lithograph, one thing interesting about it is Jim Lee did the art for it, but the manual for the GameCube one is also different than the other ones because Jim Lee, it's like a sketch cover, which kind of looks cool. And if there's one reason to own one, but don't get the special edition, or is that the only way you can get it? I can't even remember. But yeah, it's got a Jim Lee, like, cool Batman sketch on the inside, which has nothing to do with the
art. You can buy the regular one, but why?
Yeah, like the art style does not actually match that of the game or the property it's coming off of. So having Jim Lee do it is kind of a waste, but whatever. Anyway, it's just like one more fact about it. Now let's talk about Swamp Thing, the fourth hero.
Whoa.
He definitely should have gotten his game before Wonder Woman. I mean, that's definitely something that should have happened.
Okay, I'm going off again. So when I think Swamp Thing, I basically only think Saga of the Swamp Thing, because that's the only thing I know Swamp Thing. I'm a super casual. I don't go deep on like anything with comic books. What is Swamp Thing, the 1992 video game based on? It's based on a 1990 TV show I have never heard of.
Well, it also had a mid-'80s movie, too.
All right. I've never heard of that either. This TV show, I will say, looks a lot better than The Flash, but I'm basing this on, like, YouTube video impressions. It looks kind of creepy and horror-y. Swamp Thing actually looks pretty cool. And it ran for 3 seasons, unlike The Flash's 1. And yeah, so rare on both NES and Game Boy. $150 game on NES, like $30 to $40 on Game Boy, which again just seems low to me. This is when I was collecting Game Boy, this was like one of the hardest games to find. $400 complete sold listings on NES, and then there's one $250 like mint complete in box sold Game Boy listing. And there's no other complete Game Boy copies of this game, like in sold listings on eBay anywhere. So I'm pretty sure someone just really underpriced that complete in box Game Boy game.
Yeah, probably. Can I add to your fun facts real quick?
Absolutely.
There were 2 movies. So there was Swamp Thing and The Return of Swamp Thing. And so Return of Swamp Thing is 1989, and it had a pretty big star in it. It had Heather Locklear. So that was like, Heather Locklear was like the it girl of the 80s and 90s, right? Like she was very popular. She was on like Dallas, very, she was the like an idealized, over-sexualized girl they threw out there. And Heather Locklear is an attractive lady. So it's weird to see her in like some campy Swamp Thing movie. From 1989, but there it is. You got a series that ran for a few years, a movie, the first movie that came out in 82, which I saw as a child and kind of gave me nightmares because I saw it in like 1983. And then you got Return of the Swamp Thing almost 7 years later with Heather Locklear. There you go.
Okay, I guess the Swamp Thing I'm familiar with was more mid-'80s. And I guarantee Return to Swamp Thing is not anything like the Swamp Thing I'm thinking.
No.
When I think Swamp Thing, I think like Swamp Thing literally goes to hell to like rescue his girlfriend from demons, and it's like the trippiest shit on planet Earth.
Because it's Alan Moore.
Yeah,
what do you want? Which makes Swamp Thing kind of great. Not officially part of the Justice League or anything. Turns out that not a lot of the characters from the Justice League got their own games.
Especially not Wonder Woman.
No, especially not Wonder Woman.
How about that Cyborg game, though, yeah?
All right.
Good stuff.
Stefan, you work in the video games industry. Why is there a Swamp Thing game?
Yes.
Like, is this just like someone really liked the Swamp Thing TV show and no one was ever like, let's make a Wonder Woman game. Let's make a Captain America. Oh, there's probably a Captain America game by now. But whatever. They're just like, I really want a Swamp Thing game, guys. I think the kids will be really into Swamp Thing.
I mean, maybe like you're asking about like NES era.
I know the industry is
so like
different, but
so yes, weird that would happen. Sure.
I like all the R-rated movies. Like, why is True Lies a game? It makes no sense.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do the R-rated movie. I want to do the R-rated movie rundown.
Like that is absolutely going to be an episode because that's an awesome set. Like even like the set of all R-rated movies. Like, do R-rated movies now even get games? I feel like all these popular games are like PG-13 kind of movies. I mean, I'm sure they do.
The most popular movies now are not usually R-rated. Like most movies do better if they're PG or PG-13 because that obviously wider appeal, more people can see them.
Yeah. PG-13, the rating in general, the worst part of movies. Period. I'm just gonna say it.
Just a reminder that Poltergeist is a PG movie.
Yep.
Go watch
guess what? A lot of people saw that movie when they were 6 and they were scared out of their pants, and it was a formative childhood experience. Good.
Yeah.
You should be scared to look under your bed. There is an evil clown there, and he's going to strangle you. Have a good night.
I've talked about Poltergeist too much on this show, but like. It also it's part of my hometown's lore. It's amazing. Go watch Poltergeist if you haven't.
Yeah,
but not the new one because why would you? What's that?
Len Wein, he created Swamp Thing? Huh. Him and Bernie Wrightson.
All right.
Huh.
Also created Wolverine. That's I did not see that coming.
I didn't know that.
What? The creator of Wolverine created Swamp Thing. Huh.
We have more things to talk about. Tyler, tell me more. Tell me more things about Justice League.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Wolverine now.
No.
Do we have more things? Oh, more. I mean, we did the Justice League Task Force game, the first appearance of let's go Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, and not Batman, Superman. It's a fighting game. It's got 6 characters, which is just fantastic. Came out the same year as Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which has 20 characters.
Whoops.
That's about right.
Yep. And this was the one that was SNES developed by Blizzard, and the Genesis version was developed by Condor, which is the company that became Blizzard North and went on to make Diablo 1 and 2. I guess my fun fact, one more fun fact to that story. So they made Justice League Task Force, Blizzard North. And then right before they made Diablo, they made the NBA Quarterback Club 96 Game Boy port. So that's the one game they made before Diablo, which is excellent, I think. We didn't talk about the prices for Justice League Task Force Genesis. It's like $30. Make sure you get the poster and registration card. Looking on eBay, like prices are all over the place. I don't like people. A lot of people don't price in things like posters and registration cards until you have like the mint condition 100% complete in box game, and then that gets a huge bump. So just make sure you get that stuff. Super Nintendo, it's $15 loose, $50-ish complete in box. It doesn't seem crazy. Get the poster and registration card, same thing.
Agree.
Johnny, we're skipping now. I was looking for like the superhero first appearances, and then there were a lot of them in Justice League Task Force. And then the next big one I found was Aquaman in 2003, strangely before Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because Aquaman was super popular in 2003 for what exactly?
Johnny, I've got some things to say about Aquaman because I just realized this. It's
also a terrible game. It might be a worse game than Superman. Just throwing that out there.
Like, did Game Grumps played? I've like watched a significant amount of Aquaman. So Aquaman 2003 is based on like 90s Aquaman. Like Time and Tide, Aquaman lost his hand. Aquaman, he's got a harpoon for a hand. So this game came out. Oh my God. So in 2003, there was a new Aquaman series, and the storyline, literally the first issue of the storyline, is Aquaman regains his hand. He gets a hand of solid water. Yep. And I thought this was going to be an Aquaman game that ties in with the new comic storyline. Makes total sense.
Makes sense.
Have a promotional video game to draw people back into the comic book, which I'm sure not a lot of people are reading Aquaman, and they could use a video game to boost some Aquaman sales. And they put the wrong Aquaman in it. They literally have the character with the exact opposite thing that's happening in the Aquaman storyline. It makes no sense. Also, it's an underwater beat 'em up. A lot of people consider it one of the worst games ever made.
Yeah, it is. It is like, if you haven't played it, it is up there. It's funny that 2 DC properties are considered worst ever, and they're like worst of their video game era. So like that N64 era, Superman, and then that Xbox era, it's Aquaman.
I don't know why Aquaman has it so rough. He owns 75% of the world. Why does he have so much like kind of crappy shit?
I mean, because he's easy to make fun of, like talks to fish, you know.
He doesn't always talk to fish. He mentally communes with them. I
mean, he's also got like super strength and a lot of other things going on. He's also, you know, Lord of Atlantis and the sea, like, which seems like an impressive feat, but you know, us landwalkers trivialize him.
That's birthright garbage, though. That's like, he didn't do anything for that.
I mean,
he just
maybe he was ordained by Triton himself. You don't know.
It's like, oh man, like the people working on this game, they knew Aquaman is in the regard that he's held in. So they'd have to go above and beyond or take some huge risk. Just do something. This should have been the Arkham Asylum of Aquaman. You know, they're not going to get the budget to make an Arkham Asylum. But, you know, like sometimes there are those games where like they don't have any budget, but they still go like all the way with it. Like what was the stupid one I just brought up? There's like a Dora the Explorer game that's just like Metal Slug. Like, that's what they needed to do with Aquaman, and they did not. They just fell on their face and made the exact terrible game that you expected them to.
Yep. I mean, like, I think that's a game you got to be risky with. Yeah. How much is that sealed game, Tyler?
You can go get one on eBay right now for $60.
Woo!
It's going to be a collectible first Aquaman appearance, guys. What's Aquaman number 1
I saw one for
right
30
now?
or best offer for a sealed one.
We're talking about the TDK one, composer Tommy Tallarico, though.
Ooh.
Oh. Ooh.
Wait, the Aquaman game?
Uh-huh.
That guy did Color a Dinosaur and Aquaman, and he's considered like one of the most well-known video game composers.
Hey, he also worked on Earthworm Jim and stuff. There's some cool stuff.
I know he's done good stuff
people
too.
give him some crap, but like he's done some decent stuff.
All right, yeah, there's not much more to say about Aquaman.
I'm
going to throw... Go ahead.
No, I was ready to just say, like, Aquaman, it's a bad thing, and then I looked up, like, what Aquaman books are coming out in 2003, and, like, literally the first issue is the one where Aquaman regains his hand, and seeing that's not the character in the game just made me so mad.
This is what really gets Tyler's goat.
Yes.
This right here.
Aquaman lore.
Aquaman, yeah. It seems fishy, right? Like they should have done a better job.
Hey!
All right, sorry. I didn't go deep for that. I apologize.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Green Lantern, guys. Also got a game before Wonder Woman. And, you know, if you like that sort of thing in 2011.
Crap movie franchise. And
2011, Green Lantern gets a game for his movie, and it's Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters, and it's on the Wii, the DS, the Xbox 360, the PS3, and it comes with all the caveats of modern collecting. You get dumbass digital comics and stuff in there. It's an awful game, and you know, the Wii game is the most different of all of them, so check that out. The PS3 makes a big deal about saying it's a 3D compatible game, so you can put on your 3D glasses and play it, and not like the red and blue 3D glasses, like 3D glasses of the TVs of that era when they were doing everything in 3D. You can play this game in headache mode, so that's cool.
Can you still buy those TVs like today?
I don't know. I mean, I have my plasma in the other room that has it. I like some of the 3D stuff. I like it when it was used for...
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, for depth. Like when they used it for depth, not for like jump scares. Then it gets really stupid. So it's like, okay, thanks. There's a lot of B-lister Justice League people who cycle through later, and you will start to see them. Like in all the Lego DC games, every character is coming out. So whoever got missed and didn't get a first appearance in our list, probably check out like either one of the Lego Batman games or like Lego DC.
Wait, this isn't the first Green Lantern game. That GBA game is.
There's a GBA Green Lantern? Did I forget a GBA Green Lantern game?
What? This is what we're talking about. John Stewart's in it.
Yeah, this isn't the first appearance, but this is his first
solo game. All right.
Yeah, first solo game. Yeah, the first appearance. All the Justice League Task Force games, like there's 3 Justice League games on the GBA. There's Justice League Heroes, Justice League Injustice for All, and then Task Force. So, and Task Force prominently features like John Stewart, and so does Injustice for All. I'm not sure about Heroes.
All right. Well, one of those probably came out in like 2002. Go get your Green Lantern first appearances, guys. It's a key game that everyone thinks of when they think of Green Lantern.
But so like, how do you fight this? So this is John Stewart, who's not the first Green Lantern. The Green Lantern game from 2011, Rise of the Manhunters, has Hal Jordan.
Okay, Johnny. None of this matters.
No,
it's really strange. Like, okay, Superman 2600. It's the first Superman game, first DC Comics game. Is it the first superhero game or is Spider-Man? I don't remember. There is some historical context to that. There's enough. When you get to like a children's GBA game that it's not Hal Jordan, it's
John Stewart.
Yeah, John Stewart. And it's like not a Green Lantern game. Like Showcase 22, it's like an iconic comic book. This, people don't even know it exists. No one thinks about this when they think it's Green Lantern, but eventually, one day, there will be a WATA graded version of this, and it will say first appearance of John Stewart, first appearance of a Green Lantern in a video game. I mean, it might not be, there might be like some minor appearance that we're missing, but it's gonna be so manufactured compared to like the actual first appearances. Like for video game characters, I get it, it matters, but for like these comic things, like all these first appearances are bullshit, basically.
I agree. But what are you going to do?
I know.
You can't stop them.
I'm complaining about a future that hasn't happened yet. It's just so clearly going to happen one day.
I mean, you're going to love it when we get when we find this Green Lantern game and they make a big deal about that being the first Hal Jordan. Like, that's going to be part of the promotion, right? First Hal Jordan. Boom.
Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunter, and it's the Ryan Reynolds Hal Jordan.
Yeah, right. Like, and they're going to be hyping this up, but they're not going to be hyping up like Superman on the Game Boy, which is kind of hard to find, or Flash on the Game Boy, hard to find. They're going to be talking about this. Shit
all right,
like this.
All right, guys. So let's discuss. So Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters, based on the Ryan Reynolds movie.
Trash.
This is the first Hal Jordan video game. We're just gonna say it is. So the PS3 version, probably technically better, has Ryan Reynolds on the cover. The Nintendo version, the Wii version, it's Nintendo, has a cartoon Green Lantern on the cover. So which one are we going to say is more collectible? It's just going to be the Wii version. I know, because
it's going to be the Wii version. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I mean, when it comes down to like this or that scenarios, and one of them is Nintendo, it's pretty easy. All right.
And they're entirely different games, right? So that's the other thing. Because the Wii game is not counts. It's not the same as the PS3.
It did come out the same day. Counts.
So while you guys were talking about Green Lantern games, I was reading about 3D TVs, and since we talked about that a minute ago, so there are no actively produced 3D TVs right now, and there's no, 3D is not part of the 4K standard set, so there would be no 4K 3D TVs. So there you go. If you want a 3D TV, you have to settle for regular HD and
1080p.
And buy a TV that's already been produced.
Yep. But the advantage, if you get one of those, if you find an old plasma TV, you get much better blacks. So there you go.
Yep.
They are
apparently like there was also like two different types of home 3D. Like they used polarization for one and active shutter for the other, and like active shutter glasses may not work on like other active shutter TVs, and it seems like a hot mess. Like the standard was just a hot mess. Yeah,
and you have to have like the right glasses, and the glasses were kind of expensive. I know because my dog ate a pair.
3D enabled Blu-ray player, and just like, ugh.
I just felt at the time I was just like, this is all a scam. I'm not buying any of this. This just all feels like a scam to me. And what do you know? It lasted no time at all.
But you can see your favorite movies in 3D.
And I had to rebuy my movies over again. Jesus, Johnny.
It's like those HD DVD enthusiasts that have a very select number of HD DVDs in which they can enjoy.
Well, hold on. Does it count moment? Does it count? HD DVDs, because the Xbox 360 got a separate HDD drive for those. That specific disc, came with King Kong. Does it count?
Yeah. Of course it counts. Just like for the PS2 set, every DVD movie ever made counts for the PS2 set. Wada Dennis grade DVDs.
If you are a person who believes that like PSP movies count towards the PSP set, then yeah, I could see that the logical progression there would be that the HD DVDs also count for the 360 set.
Yeah. Also, you shouldn't count those. Stop it.
Oh, you know what? I've got one for Stephan. Stephan, do the Woody Woodpecker games discs count for the 3DO set?
I count them, yes.
Right? Like I've got them on my list.
So now you're too good. Now you're too good for PSP movies, but Woody Woodpecker slides in.
See, I don't have
inconsistent.
This is something I will reconsider one day, and I don't know which side I'll land on.
If 3DO had gone on to make, like for instance, CDI. Yes. CDI has a considerable amount of video discs, and so like CDI collectors waffle on whether or not they count the video discs for their set. Nobody disputes the Woody Woodpecker VCDs counting towards 3DO because that's all there is. There's only 3 of them.
But I don't like making exceptions just based on like something arbitrary. Like how many could there be without it counting? There's 3. There's not 1. There's 3.
Cheap.
What? So wait, what is
That's also not cheap. The volume 3 of the Woody Woodpecker is a nightmare.
I'm sure it is because it's on 3DO where rare stuff is already a nightmare. Yeah. What's lower your score with Tom Kite? What's the disc 4 called on that?
Mental Messages.
Yes. What is that? Is that a game or is that just like a bunch of video things?
Yeah, it's like a how-to tutorial of like it teaches you how to play golf.
Oh, but it also has the porn games, and they're not games; they're just videos.
And what's also kind of annoying about the Tom Kite thing is that on different platforms, like if you bought the Tom Kite game, whatever you want to call it, the Tom Kite thing for PC, Mental Messages comes with that. It is a 4-disc set, like it's not a limited thing. That it's just on the 3DO release that you had to mail in for the 4th disc, which is why it's incredibly difficult to find.
I have to like take some personal contemplative time because I know like what's the rare music disc on Sega CD? Is it Colors of Modern Rock? Yep. That's a Sega CD format disc, right? It's not a CD disc. That's like a Sega CD format disc, but I don't count it anymore because it's just music. Who cares? It doesn't count. I gotta like go through and decide what I want in my life.
Yeah, what about Animals? Does it count? What about Comptons?
Yep.
It all counts.
But like there's also karaoke CDs, and those aren't Sega CD format discs, they're just CDs. Did they count? No, because they're just CDs that you could play in a Sega CD. Because at some point, every audio CD counts, and then billiards counts, and then 1980s or 1800s bagatelle counts, and then lawn darts counts.
Hold on. Tyler, you're here. You're here with us right now. It's okay. Take a breath.
We're here for you. We support you.
Yeah. You are loved. You are supported. We're here. Okay? Come on back. You back, buddy? You back with us? Come on. Give us a few words.
Count, then? I don't...
Tyler, it's okay. Let it go. Let it go. You're okay. You're okay. Take a breath. All right. There you are, buddy. Okay. Come on back. That's our super comprehensive look at video games about DC comic characters that definitely don't include Wonder Woman. Misogyny, go. Anyways, that's it. Like I said, we were just taking a quick look. We thought with the Snyder Cut, we'd come in here and kind of visit and look at some fun collectibles. Hopefully you enjoyed our ranting through that. But now, guys, it is time to move on to the part of the show where I don't play any video games, but I'll ask about it anyways. Guys, what are you buying? What are you playing? Tyler, go ahead. Tell me.
I'm still playing Stardew Valley with Ada. I don't feel addicted yet. I feel like this game is so popular. Like when I got into like Minecraft or something, like there's a point where like I gotta keep upgrading my stuff. I gotta keep building my thing, and you just want to play it for like 8 hours a day. And I haven't hit that point in Stardew Valley. Maybe it's coming. The game seems kind of small scale. Like there's a shitload of items, but just like the gameplay loop I've been caught in. Not like there's so much stuff, but it's not engaging me as much as like Harvest Moon 64, where all I would do every day is I'd wake up, water the same crops, pick the same items, and there's just not a lot to that game. I don't know. Maybe this game will grab me more. And then I've been playing some Tapper on 2600, trying to go for a high score for Video Game Sage. Not doing a great job at that. Buying. I've probably been taking more of a break because I've been buying a lot recently. I did get a Macintosh copy of Microsoft Flight Simulator, if I haven't brought that up yet, guys.
Oh,
Ooh.
You said you had a good thing coming this week the last episode that you couldn't talk about.
Did I?
Yeah, I thought so.
I like hyping stuff up and then forgetting about it later, Johnny. Was it Japanese? I have not received my Japanese package. It's actually been packing for over a week now, and I'm very concerned.
Oh, that is concerning.
Yeah. D-Japan. I gave you a hesitant recommendation last time, D-Japan. What the where's my stuff? And then I no one cares, but I got a manual and disc for Microsoft Adventure to complete my second copy of it. So now I have both complete copies of Microsoft Adventure, guys.
You did it.
Yeah. Rare game. Actually, not that rare, but very expensive now. It's like $200.
That's
hopefully one of you guys can beat me here, because
all right,
2 PC games is not lighting the Collector's Quest audience on fire.
I'll do my best.
Stephan, we already know what you bought. Go ahead, tell the people, you ridiculous idiot.
couple strong things. First of all, as far as playing, I've been still been playing the World of Warcraft, which I do a regular stream on the Discord, by the way, and people have been like actually coming in and watching me for some reason. So gonna keep doing that. I'm actually thinking about starting to stream Baldur's Gate 3 because I got my Alienware laptop here not too long ago. So now that I have a rig that I feel like can like really strongly make that game look pretty, I might start doing some Baldur's Gate 3. So yeah, interested in that.
How much of that game is done?
Huh?
How much of that game is done? Oh, it's oh my god, the 25 hours. I'm reading it now. All right.
Huh.
Well, I'm gonna wait for it to be done because I'm very excited for that game, Stephan.
Yeah. So bought a graded signed Nintendo Power, which didn't feel particularly great because I think grading Nintendo Powers are kind of silly, but this one was signed by, it was issue number 6. It was signed by J. Scott Campbell as his first published work, as he has a reader submitted game idea called Lock Arm that he won a contest for. and that's got a bunch of his drawings from when he was like 12, I think. Who, for those who don't know, J. Scott Campbell, this is actually apropos for the topic because he is a very prolific comic cover artist mostly now, but he also did Gen 13 and some of the old like Wildstorm stuff back in the day. Danger Girl is another one of his. So yeah, bought a 9.2 graded copy signed by him. That was kind of cool. And he actually said on Twitter that it was the first graded copy that he had actually seen. What else did I buy? I bought a bunch of. I don't think I talked about that. I think I talked about getting it, but some reader submitted envelope art from Nintendo Power Magazine. Actually a glut of it, like 37,
talked
37 pieces. Did I? Okay.
You did.
37 pieces of that. That's very, very cool. But definitely new. I got some ad created Play It Loud Game Boys. So these were Game Boys, the red and yellow Play It Loud Game Boy with the branding for Game Boy very, very large on the front, which it wasn't necessarily large on the front on the retail versions. That was actually quite small. So these were made for print ads and for television ads where they wanted to really accentuate the Game Boy branding, particularly on like print ads where the Game Boy was really far away. Like the Killer Instinct Game Boy print ad where they're like it's set up as like a meat counter. It's really odd. It's it's a 90s magazine ad, so it was set up as like a meat counter, and you could see like the Game Boys on the ice in the meat counter, and so they were used there. And then there was actually a Game Boy Pocket television ad that they were used in, as well as the Game Boy Play It Loud launch commercial, which they were also used in. I think that was the kind of the fanciest historical thing that I bought recently. There's one other thing that I think is coming that is still in the mail that hasn't gotten here. But Stephan,
don't you think that a copy of Super Mario Land with green screenshots on the back is just so much more historical than the actual Game Boys that a bunch of people saw in ads growing up?
Nope, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why I sold all my video games.
But I mean, how rare are the green screen variants? There's like, I forgot, VGDB just posted those Super Mario Lands. There's like 9 or 15 Super Mario Lands. Guys, there are so many copies of Super Mario Land. There's so many variants. So there's only like a few million Super Mario Lands. How many of these Game Boys are there?
One of each.
You see, but you say one of each, but really it's 5. So really, I don't know how rare that is.
It's just the one.
That's pretty freaking cool, Stephan. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. I think that's all I got going. I'm looking real quick at my Twitter to see if there was something else that I posted, but I did get something else that is actually pretty cool. Did I talk about the Star Fox poster last time? I don't think so. I didn't think I had it in hand. So there was a launch event for Star Fox on the original Super Nintendo version in Cleveland, Ohio, at I think it was a Super Kmart in their parking lot, and it was like this big to do, and they had like a paratrooper guy come in, fly in, and like just like all sorts of weird shit. Part of that weird shit that Nintendo did was they decided to get Scott Carpenter, who was like a really prolific astronaut in like the inaugural NASA programs. So he was an astronaut back in the day. And so Scott Carpenter just like showed up to the Star Fox event and like talked to kids about space. And then they had these Star Fox posters, which also were stapled into Game Pros. But they had these Star Fox posters that they had. The copy that I have has Scott Carpenter, Tom Christensen, who was a Nintendo gameplay counselor, and a local radio DJ from Jammin' 92, which was a local Cleveland radio station, or still is a local Cleveland radio station. So this poster is signed by the three of them. But it's just kind of a weird oddity, obviously, because it's from a random launch event in Cleveland. But also that poster, the only real way that you know whether or not it's from either this event or the GamePro magazine is that there's staple holes in the GamePro magazine, like along the creases where it's folded. So Nintendo had just gotten an allotment of these. I don't know who sent who the poster. Like either Nintendo produced them and sent them to GamePro or vice versa. But yeah, the GamePro ones obviously were stapled into the magazine, so have staple holes in the creases, and the event versions of that poster do not have staple holes in the creases.
And that's the kind of minutia I live for.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so if you... go ahead.
No, I just kind of love the hubris of local radio DJ who also has his signature on this, which is excellent.
Yeah, I think, whoever was there, got to sign that. Also with that lot was I bought a couple posters, but was a color, basically a color proofing copy of the poster from Dragon Warrior 2, which was given to a Nintendo gameplay counselor to check for accuracy, because it's got a map on one side, but then it also has like creature stats and stuff like that on the back. So he was given that to check over for accuracy from Enix, and then they just allowed him to keep it. So I was able to buy that as well. And that's it's just kind of neat because it's like I like the pre-production, like being able to show process, and like it has all the like the color markings on the edges that you would see from a color proofing copy, but also it would be essentially the only copy of this map allegedly that doesn't have creases, because this was folded into the game. So this would be the only creaseless copy, or allegedly the only creaseless copy of this poster.
That's pretty cool.
There's some more minutia for Tyler.
I've got something on topic that I looked up because I wanted to be on topic, Stephan. Batman number 563 is the first DC Comics cover done by J. Scott Campbell.
Huh.
It is not a book that anyone would know off the top of their head. It's got Joker standing on some rocks with his fist up. It looks kind of cool, I guess. There we go.
Very cool. That's what I bought recently.
Pretty good.
Are you going to beat that, Johnny? Let's go. Come on. This is just some Game Boys with big text. Okay.
I mean, are you ready for me to tell you about Harry Potter games?
All right. Stephan, you get anything else? Something like, can we stop Johnny from talking about this?
Yeah. No. This one's cool. I say hesitantly, this one's cool, right, guys? Well, listen. No, I've been doing a lot of research on the stupid Harry Potter games globally that came with a card, and like the Sorcerer's Stone came with a TCG card, but not in every region. Like, as far as I can tell so far, PAL regions didn't get it, but Japan got it for a Game Boy Color, which is pretty hard to find the box that has a sticker that tells you that it comes with a promotional card. And then there is the PS1 that only in Japan that comes with it, the card as well. So I got those, but the more interesting one that I got was it's a Coca-Cola promotional item. So Coca-Cola and Harry Potter had a huge promotion together. It was a huge tie-in. I mean, it was like a huge deal. When I say huge, it was like one of the biggest media deals ever made for Coke to be sponsoring Harry Potter. It was like 103 million pounds. So at the time in like 2001, I think, when the deal was made, which I think the pound was almost double the American dollar at that time. The pound was very strong. So for it to be that big of a deal, it was a tremendous deal. Anyways, as part of this promotion, Coca-Cola had like 1,000 giveaway copies of Sorcerer's Stone, which had, like, it looks exactly the same, except on the back it says like not for resale, but the disc inside has a different SLUS number too, but the disc inside has like, it looks like movie art that's kind of been like processed to look like it's drawn, which is a way different cover than the original Sorcerer's Stone, if you've seen it, which, it's got like pre-movie art on it. So it's a much different cover. This one shows the trio. That's Harry, Ron, and Hermione in this like weird portrait, but art style, artificially created. So yeah, it's interesting. It's like one of 1,000. So it's not the worst.
Cool. Rare Japanese stuff. I'm in.
Yeah. So like, wasn't as bad as you thought. I got some stuff like trying to come from Europe. I just found out, like literally as we were doing the show, that my Russian package with Castlevania games is on its way back to Russia because he didn't write my address correctly. He wrote Simi Valley, California, but failed to put a street. So I'm seeing if I can intercept that.
Oh.
Because it's got like $700 worth of games in it.
Oh, no.
That I would like.
Just, the Johnny Iucci in Simi Valley. I mean, how big can it be? It's California.
Yeah, Johnny
right?
Iucci. How many? Just me. I'm actually surprised my mail lady didn't find it because she's rooted some of these other kind of problems out before. So I'm going to try to contact someone, but it's like the worst possible timing. They failed to deliver it on a Saturday. And while the post office isn't open on a Sunday, they're still doing internal business on a Sunday.
Sure, yeah.
So it's going to get routed and it's probably going to be in New York by the time I talk to anybody and am able to stop it. It's not still going to be sitting in my local post office, which is annoying.
That is annoying.
So that's what I just found out. And then I got a bunch of stuff just sitting in Europe in a consolidation facility. I say a bunch, like four games or something that I'm trying to consolidate and bring over here.
Oh, get me a Batman.
Okay. Just tell me which one you want.
Just a Batman, Johnny.
Okay.
I want that cool Batman Forever collector's edition.
Okay. Well,
pretty cool.
So you've got some money, so send it to me and I'll get it. I'll get it for you.
The Batman. We didn't talk. We didn't talk about that. That's the weirdest thing. What were we even looking at this episode? But yeah, that Batman Forever collector's edition is
because
crazy,
Batman
right?
Forever is an abomination and has nothing to do with the Justice League.
Or what was this Justice League episode? Oh, I guess it was a Justice League episode, technically.
Yeah. Out of here, Joel Schumacher and your bull.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Not that Batman from 1989 has a lot to do with Justice League either, but at least that one's cool. So you, Joel Schumacher, suck a dick.
I will say that the Holy Rusted Metal Batman line was pretty choice.
No, it was not. There's no positives. Stop talking. No, refuse. Hate it so much. The only thing I hate more than that is Batman and Robin.
Got the movie poster for that in my stairwell. I love Batman and Robin.
I literally just got
movie.
cold, gross shivers.
Batman is a weird furry. Stop taking him so seriously. Except the movies where they take him seriously are still amazing. So Batman is amazing no matter what you do with him.
Unless you're Ben Affleck, and then that's not.
No, don't make Ben Affleck Batman. That's weird.
But I love the suit. But I love the suit in that movie. Looks really cool.
Yeah,
because it's based off of Frank Miller Dark Knight. Got
photos,
the big fat
photos
bat on
of that. Photos of that suit are great, but seeing him move in it is not great.
Well, I don't care about that. Batman versus Superman. Another super stupid title, by the way. I don't know who is over there at DC naming these movies, but that's a really title, and that was not a great movie.
It's not Batman versus Superman, Johnny. It's Batman v Superman, as if they're having a court case.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
That's awful.
Well, I hope Batman comes out on top on that one. I hope he gets justice in court.
I didn't even realize justice is in the title. That's funny, Johnny. I like everything about this.
Thanks. All right. I think that's all we got for today. I'll keep you guys posted on the Russian saga. Woo!
Wait, we got
excited for that.
Well, okay, wait, Johnny. We need my one more thing, and then we got to say our social media.
Okay. All right.
Are you going to ask me if I have one more thing?
Do you have one more thing?
We didn't mention the most collectible, one of a kind, and actually a real game, DC Comics game from the Justice League, I guess, which we're talking about. Superman Returns for the PSP prototype. There's one known copy, and it's owned by VG Collectaholic, the prize of his possession, of his collection.
The prize of his possession.
That is pretty sweet.
Sure, I guess that's cool. I mean, I would like having a game that literally no one else on Earth had. That would be kind of neat, even if it's Superman Returns for PSP. I mean,
Jump the rock.
Nowadays and age, imagine having a Superman game that no one had when comic games are so hot. Pretty cool. Okay, Johnny, now we can end the show.
Okay. Tyler, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Video Game Sage, YouTube. I'm Default GEN. Default Gen.
Okay, and Stephan?
Mostly Twitter and YouTube at Art of Nintendo Power or Art of NP. One thing that I'm doing that I wanted to shout out is this coming weekend. Is this going to be done by next weekend, do you think, Tyler?
No, probably not.
All right. Well,
I mean, hopefully.
This either just happened or it's about to happen. The 27th and 28th, I am doing a charity stream with Gerard the Completionist for benefiting game history, the Video Game History Foundation, gamehistory.org. And that's called Preserved Play. He's gonna have a bunch of guests and do a bunch of playthroughs of various things, including a bunch of Mega Man games for NES. And so I'm probably gonna come on and show some Mega Man art whilst he is playing that stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be there the 27th. I'm not 100% sure if I can make the 28th yet, but either way, it's gonna be a great thing in which you can donate money to a great organization, the Video Game History Foundation. So yeah, twitch.tv/The Completionist, and that's what I'm doing next weekend.
And
nice.
Maybe you can watch cool. Some VODs of that, because if I'm editing this, it will be while that is happening. So probably not many people listening to this beforehand.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Okay.
Shout out things 2 weeks in advance on the Collector's Quest.
I only found out I was going to have this happen the other day. So.
Stephan's all over the place. Also, Stephan, did he call himself out? He was on the Video Game Collectors podcast. Surprise guest appearance.
Oh, yeah, you were.
That was pretty surprised too. It was essentially he just hit me up and he's like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? I'm like, all right, because you know me, when it comes to sharing Nintendo Power art, I don't say no to anyone. And so he's like, you want to be on my podcast?
Nintendo Power.
Yeah, huh?
I said that's more than just Nintendo Power art that you don't say no to.
That's fair. But yeah, he was like, you want to be on the podcast? I'm like, yeah, sure, when? And he's like, how about right now? So yeah. It was
so basically it came together just like an episode of Collector's Quest.
Yeah, very much like.
Probably didn't take this long though.
Yeah, no.
Yep, probably 50 minutes in and out.
Done. No editing. Don't worry about audio quality.
Speeches about Nintendo Power. He can talk to anyone about it for probably an hour without having to think about what he has to say.
Yep, that is true. I can completely talk about Nintendo Power or myself or some combination of those two things for an hour pretty easily without having to think about it.
Yeah, Josh told me that you're leaving our podcast for theirs. Is that true?
Oh, is that right?
No, he didn't.
I want that to be true. I want that. I want him to say that to you. But no, that's not true.
That sounds like torture for Stephan, just looking at prices of retail games all day. Ugh.
That's what he's about.
Oh man,
yeah.
There are three cover
barely
arts
hanging on to this content,
on,
so
on Heritage.
Okay,
right?
so that's it for the show. Thanks everybody for listening.
What about you, Johnny?
What? No, you can find. No one cares where I am. I'm just some guy living in a hermit hole.
Just some
apparently
guy.
I don't have a street address or anything, so you can't actually find me anywhere. Now you can find me at Johnny_Iuchi on Instagram sometimes, and Video Game Sage under Johnny. Yeah, that's it. That's the only places I live. Occasionally a YouTube video. So look for me there, and of course on our Discord. And if you've got to this part of the show, thanks so much. And if you aren't a patron, you can join us for a very nominal fee. And with that, you'll get access to our Discord and some bonus audio and some other stuff we do. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, and if you want to join us, you can. I love our Discord. I love hanging out there. That's where I spend most of my time rather than on Instagram or on forums now. So if you want to come hang out with myself, Tyler, and a bunch of other great individuals, then I recommend you do that. But that's all I got on that. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you to our patrons: Richard, patron number 1, Bowden, 50 Hertz is good enough for me, Andre, High-End Collector, Andrew Brim, Wada 9.8, A++, Benji, Brian Gupta, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky, Mint Condition, Brian J. Mora, Sophisticated Investor, Cartmageddon, Chris, SNK Too Many NES Accessories, Morozek, Johnny's GBA Hookup, Coffee with Mr. Saturn, The Last Game You Need for Your Set, Corey O'Brien, Unpunched Hang Tab, Dustin Beagle, The Actual Shinobi, Jasonic the Kid, Jeff the Game Boy Ferris, Lance Lord Hardstyle Z, The Degenerate, Matt Fall, Funkoland Employee Platform Agnostic, Read the Game Shark, The Famicom Box Retro Game Enthusiast, Previously Unknown Variant Tim Walker, Can't Put Limits on Collecting VG Collectaholic, The Willennium Will Joe, Keeper of Zelda Variants 0x Def Code, The Actually Rare Bird Dog Gaming, Brandon Rogers, whose favorite episode is the wrestling episode, Canadian Variant Alert Chris Glidden, Fat Cat Collector Chris Jackson, Still Finding Deals in 2021 Colton Murphy, Derek Lauer, who made me edit this show, Jeremy Jarvis, here for the Pog Talk, Jim Jacobs, world record holder of Best Collection, video game art collector because games are art, Justin Cicchino, Nick, the video game database Morgan, the other guy who collects Korean releases, Peaceful Games, the promoter, Retro RPG Podcast, Tex, who collects for Jaguar, Sean, the Gamer Collective, Tom, Obscure Variant Chaser Chase, Andrew, actually collecting Engage O, Daniel McCardle, who thought this was the Retronauts Patreon, the Philatelist, Dork Overlord, Joe actually plays his games Champity, Michael posted in the Discord right now Chiaramonte, and Sean, the video game Illuminati LaCroix. Thank you guys so much.